I'm one of the people that did the deputation in Creston that some of you may be familiar with. How many of you are familiar with what we did? It was on YouTube. Fair amount of you? Yeah, good. Okay. I see a couple more people coming. I really want to thank you for coming out in this extreme weather. We're just sort of commiserating here a little bit back before the bulky arrived. We've all got frozen water, so, you know, got to deal with that stuff when we get home. This presentation is going to be a wee bit different from the last one. We're doing what we call phase 1 through phase 5. And phase 1 was when we did the deputation in Creston for the town of Creston and the RDCK. We did it with the intention of getting their attention about all the stuff they've been up to. What we achieved out of that, believe it or not, and it's really important, is they are all on the public record. And that is huge because they cannot deny us. These things take way too goddamn long. And, you know, I'm not a patient man, but we have to do them in the increments that we're doing them. So that said, in Caslo, we are pretty much going to mirror image what we did in Caslo. And we had a number of people. We didn't have as many there as we do here. And I don't blame them because it was really nasty weather out. We did get signatures. And what the signatures are, in my opinion, and others, it says we're a force. And we're also standing up for what we need to do and what we're going to do. These signatures, I'll be quite blunt, are really, really important, and they will not be shared. The only thing that's going to happen with these signatures is they're all going to a notary public, and that notary public will certify the amount of signatures that are on there. And that will be sent on to, in Creston's case, to the town. It'll be sent on to the regional district. They will be sent on to the Minister of Municipalities. It will be sent on to the Premier's office. They need to know that we are a force that is not going to go away. This is a affirmation, a lawful affirmation, and this is a declaration of dominion. Now, it's interesting to me. I didn't preface this a whole lot yesterday, but I want to make it clear because people are afraid, well, if I sign that, what am I giving away? Am I giving my, signature away? Am I going to be liable for this, that, or something else? Oh, sorry, folks. We all gave our sovereignty away back in 1992. All these signatures are saying is, I've had enough. I'm a property owner. I'm a resident. And I am not going to put up with this, period. And the method that we're using is completely lawful and proven. They can deny it, they can bully us, they can intimidate us, but they cannot stop it. So I want to be really clear about that. And if you've got any questions about that, please feel free to ask them right now. Is it down? What I do have is an AC pack. Oh, don't tell me this has gone dead on me. Has it gone dead on me? Okay. Well, we'll go until we can. What I've encountered here lately, and I have the same predicament. I'm not putting myself above or below anybody else. There are so many of us that are saying, what can we do? What can we do? Well, we can't do anything. We've tried, we've worked, we've protested, we've done everything you can imagine. Well, we have to keep going. And I have a visualization, okay, for what it's worth. We need a three-sided coin when we look in the mirror. And that three-sided coin has courage on one side, determination on the other side, and it's wrapped around with truth. We have to stand up for ourselves. We have to stand up for our children. We have to stand up for our country. So please understand, this is where we're at. The key to doing this is getting the mayors out of their international jurisdictions and getting them back into a proper public oath with fiduciary responsibility, fully understood and implemented for the people that put them there. Come on in. So I wanted to accentuate and just go over, that outline. Yeah. Now, if I can just find it. There it is. I'm going to start reading. And what we have here, make sure we get the audio good. This is a lawful affirmation and a declaration of dominion. I reserve my right not to be compelled to perform under any contract or commercial agreement that I did not enter knowingly, voluntarily, and intentionally. I do not accept the liability of the compelled benefit of any unrevealed contract or commercial agreement. And you can put your own name in there. Now, this is what we call phase 2. And it's a who, the what, the when, the where, how, and the what and all of it all. And how can we help people understand the gravity of our present situation? First, we must acknowledge that a problem exists. Second, educate those who are unaware. Our voices together raise the consciousness. And I'm calling upon good men and women who are brave and willing to take a stand to take action. It is our responsibility, the duty of all, to expose and confront corruption for all to see. There are those whose actions have become equal to the definition of terrorist, whereby an act is carried out to achieve an inhuman and corrupt objective, and involving a threat to the security of any kind and a violations of the rights acknowledged by religion, spirituality, and mankind. These threats are currently serving a foreign entity or entities whose intentions are to rule, control, and establish restrictions intended to enslave us. Our actions will prove to be stronger. Throughout the ages, the who, what, when, where, and how is a formula that investigators use to unpack a mystery. So why not use it now? Who are we and who are you? We are the men and women under the Creator of all who have dominion over our own lives and who are asserting inherent authority over on unalienable domains, the dominion of the land we stand on, and the domain of the governance we choose to stand with, not under. Foreign economic agents who have been installed in our government offices to create laws and regulations that overstep rightful boundaries. They were sent to Canada to steal our beautiful resources, both natural and human. The UN, the Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, the World Bank, BlackRock, Vanguard, venture capitalists, investors, stakeholders, cities, the elites, the Davos Group, the Bilderbergers, the Club of Rome, the Council on Foreign Relations, and many other secret societies. That's who they are. As George Carlin said, it's a big club and we ain't in it. All of these groups have three things in common. One, they want total control over every aspect of a human's life. Two, they do not like humans and they want a lot less of us. In 2017, Klaus Schwab admitted to penetrating our local governments using public-private partnerships with local officials, global mayor initiatives. The WEF pays mayors to bring us into the UN global governing system, to create 15-minute cities, and to designate all our land as UN green space. Don't doubt that for a minute. They use what is known as Aladdin, and it's artificial intelligence. And it's big, it's huge, to try to predict every move, every economic move, what the potential outcomes are of everything that we do. This is the only thing and the only issue we need to be talking about. What is happening? What are the public-private partnerships? Briefly, the public-private partnerships are a legal way of taking over lawful regulatory control. They create de facto masquerading as legitimate, de jure, and lawful governments. Officials are granted international status in order to sign huge infrastructure agreements. Fiat currency, usury, and fraud are used to create soaring taxes and high inflation levels and a bloated bureaucracy and huge administration costs which are used to bankrupt our coffers. When did this happen? Globally. The UN has been overt with their intentions, but in 2001, it was a temporal marker. 1998 was a starting point for us, where they changed the Municipal Act to the Municipal Charter. The Municipal Corporations Act was removed and replaced with a public-private corporate charter. The roots of the UN field offices began to take hold in the villages, towns, and cities in Canada, using legal tricks, and I call them word turds or weasel words, like amalgamation and regionalization. Where are they doing it? Well, they're doing it everywhere. This has happened all over the world. COVID lockdowns proved every country that signed on to Agenda 21 in 1992 is in lockstep with a global entity and not Canada calling out the orders, even down to the municipal levels. I think you already know this. How are they doing it? There were several UN international documents sent to towns, but the controlling instrument now used is the Municipal Act. Introduced in 1998, using this de facto code, elected representatives became international agents, and our ability to govern our own affairs was usurped by foreign corporate interests, controlled by the UN, WEF, WHO too now, and hundreds of non-governmental organizations. If you're so inclined, look up the Horizons Project. It's big in Canada. They're a source. In addition, the public has been grossly and intentionally misinformed regarding the UN strategies like the climate action plans and rewilding. These plans are privately funded narratives used to open the door to global takeover of lands, properties, and God-given rights. What now? The UN governing system is nothing short of a combination of fascism, socialism, communism, corporatocracy, and totalitarianism. They want a new world order, which we all know. They want that one world government, for every country. Canada is under attack, using the mayor's pen as the ammunition of choice. A conflict of holistic totality has been declared upon every man and woman. Each of us has a duty to peacefully and lawfully end this foreign occupation implemented at the local level. All of us, this above, brings us to the collective actions we are now taking today. On November the 11th, we gave a deputation to the mayor and councillors of the town of Creston and the regional district of the Central Kootenay. Both entities and the women and men holding offices were properly served, and an answer was required by November 30th. Our officials failed to respond properly. Even the simple question, who do you work for? Who's your boss? Has gone unanswered. There's a list of 7 questions here that we asked. None of them were properly addressed. Defrauding the public is a felony in Canada, and due to the urgency of the evidential fraud, we are now taking the following directive measures. So join us in a peaceful, lawful action to restore lawful mayors. The men and women, the declarants, living in the Grey Creek area, the geographical area of Grey Creek, under the protection and umbrella of the divine creator, do state that this notice is to assert our collective voice and will, to address the urgent lack of fiduciary control and recent evidence of fraud on the public, and to affirm our duty to protect the land and the bodies of which we were granted dominion over. We further state that your failure to properly respond on November the 30th, 2023, necessitates a notice of dishonor. You failed to produce your oath of office as requested, which indicates you may be in de facto possession of the public trust, office, and seal. You were elected for the public trustee guardian office and to perform these duties as required. It appears you failed to invoke the following. You failed to properly respond on November the 30th, 2023, and when you did respond, you didn't respond properly, which indicates breach of fiduciary trust, failure, fraud. And we therefore revoke any and all consent for you to act or sign on any woman's or any man's, we being the declarants, behalf other than your own, or to sign any registered public account created by or for the declarant. All service contracts, municipal and otherwise, that you have authorized past, present, and future, which are detrimental to our men and women or the declarant's trust, health, benefit, and or future, are deemed null and void. Ultra vires. The declarants are not obliged to participate in fraud nor forced to comply with de facto orders issued of your accord. All unlawful municipal taxes charged charges against the declarant will eventually be forwarded to a public clearinghouse to be established at a later time and date. And the declarant requires written notice prior to any taxes or fees charged and laid against the declarant. We offer you two options, and I'm speaking to the elected officials. You may be granted lawful redemption from past error and poor judgments if you remove yourself from all de facto covenants and restore peace, order, and good governments, under which public, proper, lawful oath of affirmation with full fiduciary understanding and practice, which such oath encompasses. Or the declarants will seek remedy from all harm caused by negligence, nuisance, public hazard, and breach of trust, past, present, and future. There it is. That's our phase 2. Now, this form that I'm asking for your support on, right here, it reads as follows. This is a lawful affirmation and a declaration of dominion. I reserve my right not to be compelled to perform under any contract or commercial agreement that I did not enter knowingly, voluntarily, and intentionally. I do not accept the liability of the compelled benefit of any unrevealed contract or commercial agreement. As indicated by the names and autographs below, the men and women living in the geographical area of Grey Creek on the Kootenay Lake in British Columbia, under the divine protection of the divine creator of all that is, do state that this notice is to assert our collective voice and will, to address the urgent lack of fiduciary control and recent evidence of fraud on the public, and to affirm our duty to protect the land and bodies of which we were granted dominion over. We have dominion over all aspects of our life, as supported by this notification and evidenced by the declarant's autographs below in the geographical area commonly known as the Grey Creek area and the Kootenay Lake area. These autographs will be certified, notarized, held in trust, and are to remain confidential pending further clarification from our elected officials in writing of issues set out on the reverse side of this page. Upon receipt of clarification from elected officials, remedy may be sought and signatures may be released at that time. To the declarants, I say thank you. Now it's short, I believe it's succinct, and it's to the point. And it's not 100%, but it's a hell of a lot further than we have been. That's it. Thank you. Do you folks understand what the word dominion means? Kind of iffy? Well, dominion can be found in many places. It's all over the wall back there in the hall, which is kind of funny. But we used to have the Dominion of Canada on our money. When you go to court or you're addressing a lawful issue or a legal issue, and they want you to take the book they use, which is the Bible, right in the front page it says, I give you dominion over the earth. It's your free will. It's your freedom of choice. That's what it is. And we want to bring that back. And that's why it is stated here. You're asserting your dominion on your path, your life, your future. And that's where that three-sided coin comes in. So I ask you to step up and support, because there's so much strength in our numbers. Yes, I totally believe we're going to be, how can you say, intimidated, bullied, all kinds of things. But we're above it. We have dominion. Please don't forget that. And this is a lawful affirmation. And as I said earlier, don't worry about what are they going to do to me. We gave our sovereignty away back in 1992. Well, we're getting it back. And there's another 2, maybe 3 more pieces after this one. So if you want me back for the next phases, I'll be here. So with that said, I'll take some questions, but if you want to sign here, I would love to have your signatures for support. Yes.
I just have a question. You were specifically saying the geographical area of Grey Creek. Some of us are Ryandale, some of us are Kootenai Bay, Crawford Bay.
Sign.
Sign anyway.
Sign anyway. Sign anyway. It's all in the Kootenai Lake area. And that's one of the reasons I'm here, because we went to Castle, because Castle is part of the Kootenai Lake area. And we do have a natural flow of energy. Okay, we're trying to use natural law here in its most subtle form, I guess you could say. The water flows from the north, from right by, Ryondale, right by Caslow and all those places, and heads west to Nelson. The water flows south from Creston, goes to the same place, empties out there. We're all neighbors, and we all need to support each other. And I believe there's, maybe it's metaphysical, it doesn't matter. I like the idea of that dome from one end of the valley to the other. And I think it's important. And as we know, we're doing it for these ones and the ones they're going to have. Paul?
We've heard that the pastor in Preston Grace Fellowship Church has been
Just
pretty supportive of
hang on.
group activities is under attack right now. Do you know any more about that?
Now I can hear you. Yep.
The pastor, David Ripley in Preston, pastor of Grace Fellowship Church, he has been under attack by people in the church, municipal leaders. I don't know the details on that. Do you know anything more about that?
Well, no, I don't. He did ask for letters of support. And it is common knowledge amongst people that have dealt with him that he has been under attack, as you said. I did send him a letter of support. I sent 2. I sent one to his boss, I guess, the head of the various churches. And I sent him one too. And
You think there was a direct result of that deputation that was
it probably is. It probably is, from having people like myself, people like Corrine, people like, anybody else that has spoken up, and, him and his congregation have opened up that building to us because he wants truth. And he says himself, there's things that need to be answered.
I noticed I've been writing some of the area directors, mayor, council. I write them regular emails. I brought up this deputation in a very objective manner, asked them, well, what do you think about it? I mean, is there any truth in this? I really approached it in an objective fashion. I have not received any response from any of them.
No, you won't.
I usually get responses of some nature regarding other topics, but on this topic, I have not gotten received.
Our mayors, well, this is what I got, like I said, from the regional district. I had the phone call that I believe I shared with you some time ago from the mayor in Creston, and he said he didn't believe any of it. He was 100% legal. Well, on the legal part, he's right, because he's a UN employee and he's working in an international jurisdiction. Okay? he's working in a provincial jurisdiction, international jurisdiction, and to hell with the local jurisdiction. He's just implementing what they're telling him to implement on a local level. And that's where the problem lies. And it's the same problem in every mayor and every town and every city and every village. Because what they did is they basically gave us a cookie cutter pattern of what they're going to do.
Regarding these oaths that you, like at the deputation, you talked about secret oaths, other oaths taken. Is there any solid evidence that these oaths do in fact exist? Do we have that anywhere in Canada?
I can tell you this, okay, this is a PPP, a declaration of rule appointed official. That is not the same, okay, as a public oath for an elected official. Okay, I can tell you, let me see if I can find a couple. Different policies menus. I was looking for the one from the mayor that the town of Creston has applied, okay? They sign a covenant, okay? All the councillors and the mayors. They are not true, honest, public oaths. They're public-private partnerships done by a corporation for a corporation. They're not a public oath where, you have responsibility, fiduciary responsibility to the public, okay, and those that elected you first. That's where we need to take them back. We need to turn the table around the other way. I can get you some. Yes, I have them at home. I thought I had them with me, okay? These are the only ones that I have, is what I think I showed them to you earlier. Yeah. Just give me a minute and I'll see what I can get for you. Oh yeah, definitely. But these declarations are just that. They are public-private partnerships. And they take the power away from the elected official, whether it's a regional rep or a councillor or a mayor. They're beholden to the corporation of the government of British Columbia, acting as a sub-national nation state. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
I think the main point that we all need to understand is the difference between legal and lawful.
Yes.
Right? And so, unfortunately, they have a lot of protection legally and not through these things, but ultimately, it's not lawful what they're doing. And I guess my question is, and that's where the deputation and even what you're asking us to sign, what we're basically saying is, I unknowingly
Entered into a contract. Yep.
I don't agree to be in, because, and so we are on the side of law because it was unknown.
Yep.
And so, just simplistically, that's I just wanted to kind of clarify that's my understanding.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. Yeah, go ahead.
So is there any kind of legal team? Are there any high-ranking lawyers?
There are a number of, okay,
Just because what you're saying is that they were supposed to answer you by the end of November.
that's right.
So as we see through COVID and everything, either the process becomes the impediment to action, or the process becomes the punishment for the pastors locked away in Alberta right now for,
Yep.
all our nurses and doctors being
Yep.
compelled to take a bio.
Yep.
So what kind of legal team can we get to peacefully?
All right. Yes. A legal team, not so much. There are a number of really, really intelligent, I want to say lawyers, okay, that have contributed a lot to what we're doing. And they're doing it on an anonymous level, okay, because of the political repercussions. When we do this, okay, how can I put it? Well, we're putting them on a notice that we don't agree with their de facto law, which is what you're talking about. With you have people working in the medical industry that were denied work, cannot be rehired. That's the de facto law is coming out of Victoria from Bill C-39 to B-SIL 40-something. They're all de facto. They stomp all over the Bill of Rights everywhere. Okay. This is about as good as I can get it. We put them in dishonor, and no man, no woman, okay, no human being is under obligation to obey de facto law. Go look it up in Black's Laws Dictionary. Go look it up on Wikipedia. There's some posters over here you can reference if you want. We are expediting this. We are expediting as fast as we can go, my friend. Yep. We don't care if they play or not. In a lot of ways, we don't. We don't care if they play or not. I don't need to go to court with them. All I have to do is serve them with this, okay, and say, pound sand. I don't comply. I don't consent. And where we get worried about it, well, what are they going to do to us? How are they going to intimidate us and everything else? You got to stand strong. And that's where these signatures come in, because you support each other. We support each other everywhere. Yes, ma'am.
Are there other places that people can sign other than being here at a meeting? Because obviously this is a small section.
Yes.
The Great Creekians.
Yep.
So I'm sure there's other people, but some people are thawing out their water and a bunch of other stuff because of the cold weather. Is there anything online that people can sign?
I'd like to, and I haven't got there yet, but I am, hopefully I would like to leave one or two of these with some people here, okay, that would be willing to take responsibility for them and treat them with the utmost confidentiality. And it's the signatures that I'm concerned about. And if you want to go door to door and fill them out, you carry on, give me a call, I'll come and get them. Okay. Like I say, it's not a magic bullet. It's another step in the right direction. Lucille?
So, this is what I understand that you're asking, is that we sign onto this declaration
Yes.
that you basically read out to us. And so, can you walk me through again what happens to this paper with our signatures on it?
These signatures are going to be counted, okay, by a notary public or somebody that has that qualification to say that they're real. Those signatures will be held. Well, I won't hold them because they'll probably want to come and search my house. Okay, but they will be in a place where nobody can get their hands on them. That's the best I can do. I'm not putting them in a safety deposit box in a bank because they can break those locks. And at a further point, we may release them, okay, if we have to, in their entirety, okay, with everybody that signed, if it means that you prove to us, again, that these people signed. I may go say, okay, you get me a judge. I'll go sit in his chamber with him. He can look them over and he can say, yep, they're all here, and I get them back. And when the time comes, I'll have a big bonfire and I'll put it on video and we'll burn the whole damn works. I don't know what else to do. I'm trying to protect the integrity of the people, and I do not want anyone having political repercussions. I got that going on myself. Pastor David has it going on. Okay. Other people are having it going on. You know, to hell with them. We're not stopping. I'm sorry, there's kids here. I should mind my tongue. So, any other particular questions? I mean, yeah, go ahead.
The other portions of the plan are?
The next portion of the plan?
Stage two.
Yep.
I think there's, what,
Well,
3 more stages, correct?
at least 3 more. I'll read you something here because I work with a woman by the name of Maggie McFarland from shelaw.ca. And she's on there. She's got all this information and more. This lawful redemption 2, we're right here at stage 2. Okay. And I'll leave it over here. You can read it. I'm sorry I don't have extra copies of it. I did have some, but they disappeared in Caslow. But you're more than welcome to read it. This is part of republicing our governments, our local governments. Fiduciary authority restored, judicial authority restored, regulatory control restored. And then the next one is unincorporate all things local. In other words, the UN city state, okay, corporate structure goes next. Okay? We get rid of it. It goes to the shredder. Then on number 4, all municipal service contracts reviewed, necessary services maintained, water, sewer, transit, health, school, all your municipal services fees to be paid from your local treasury only. And we are working on a local financial clearinghouse. Okay. Not a tax thing up to Victoria. All our stuff goes to our own area and we distribute from there. And instead of giving the bastards 80%, we'll give them maybe 15 or 10 and we'll keep the rest and we can get our taxes down that way. It's a lot. Yes, it is. But there's no other way. There's no other way. Then, what we're also looking to do on number 5 is mentor counselors. Okay, people who know how to do things. And I don't care what the skill is, but people with wisdom. How many of us are lost our elders this year in the last 3 years? It's huge. And we're becoming the elders. And we've got to be able to advise the young ones what to do, what's the best thing to do for everybody. That will come. And then a new public voting system. And I believe it will probably be going back to the basic good old-fashioned ballot. Show up with some form of ID that says you're John Doe or Jane Doe. And in doing that, we want to extend it so that if we're going to have a new bridge, or in our case, in Creston, a new fire hall, which we didn't really need, we all vote. That vote is binding. It cannot be usurped, ignored, okay? And they go and put us more debt anyway. And you have the same thing going here, Crawford Bay, Ryondale, everywhere. That goes hand in hand with that new public oath, okay? Where the elected individual is responsible 100% to the people. And whomever the body is that that elected official reports to, okay, has to abide by the decision of that area brought forth by that elected official. There's no but. No, we want to do this anyway. We know it's legal and not lawful, but we'll do it. That's what we're doing. Yes.
So I don't really understand the difference, practically speaking, between legal and lawful.
Legal administrative side, okay, is where you go into court. And I'm not an expert on it. I'm not a lawyer. But you basically go into court, you cross a gate, okay, And basically you are subjected to various things, such as if you're a person, you're dead. If you're a citizen, too bad. Okay. Once in a while, somebody might arrive with their long form birth certificate or their live birth certificate, and they changes the dynamics of it. But the legal side, for instance, well, I'll give you an example. I wanted to put on this is a petition of commerce. Okay. It's not a beggar's petition. It's a petition of commerce. Until a fellow by the name of Dallas enlightened me and said, do you know that the Universal Commercial Code has 52 codes and they own them all? It was a dead end. They own the legal administrative side. That's where they live and breathe. The legal system, the justice system really is schizophrenic. It's split in two. And they do their best to stay away from the lawful side. Okay? And you expressing your dominion as a woman, okay, saying you're in de facto, you're on the lawful side. They will, yes, they will try to fight. But you got to stand up. I'll stand with you. 100%. 110%. That's what it is. So the legal administrative side is not for us. It's long gone. It's corrupt. It's there for the corporations. It's there for the cronies. Okay. It's there for the UN. It's there for the WEF. It's there for the WHO. It's there to increase their pensions. It's there so they can make a, what do they call it? Immunity agreements, in parliament or in council and in executive councils and all the rest of it.
So, something that occurred to me, a letter actually that I was allowed to use and send. What I got from reading the letter is that perhaps where our power lies, and I don't know if this is true because I don't know a lot about legalities of politics, is from the ground up, pointing to more local
Yes.
officials and threatening them with legal action for them. I mean, or is that?
No, we're not threatening anybody. We can't threaten them. Okay. I'm not going to threaten them. No. Your threats.
What I'm talking about is, it seems to me that more localized government-type officials, whether it's regional or even on the coast where I lived, it was island trustees, can they be held legally responsible?
Yes.
Well, and so, because what I found in my rather limited experience is they usually talk about schizoid. They've got one foot in the community and one in the government bureaucracy, and they're full of horns. And they are supporting that whole massive system.
Yes, they are.
And so they need to be, like, how do we reach them?
We reach them, one, okay, by demanding, okay, they leave their international jurisdictions.
So are they at that level? Are they aware of being?
I don't think so. Some of them are, but for the most part, I don't think so. And that's just my opinion. Because if they had any inkling of the liability that they're in, they wouldn't do it. And it's been a bit of a struggle to get there. And this is why we're doing this. We have to keep on hammering them, okay, with these things. Yes.
One, and I am a novice completely, but with I highly recommend people look into natural law, common law a little bit. And Angela Albright, who is in Haslo, does a course, Sovereigns by Design, and she has free information on her online. You can go to Sovereigns by Design. There's a Sovereign's Way and so on. But having experience, just from the one course that I've done, and again, I'm a novice, is bit by bit, I step more into an understanding of being able to differentiate between law and legal. And the truth is, unfortunately, is we gave our rights away with our birth certificate. We are part of a corporation. But there is language that we can use to regain our sovereignty, which is what Neil is presenting here.
Yep.
And then as far as, like, numbers matter, and every opportunity that we get to go and speak directly to our local representatives and learning language, and again, I'm trying to learn it because it's easy to get mad and frustrated or just say, F it, I'm out of here. But we have to find language to try to reach these people who are still people, and they don't know, they're ignorant. Ignorance is not knowing. They mostly have no idea, like Neil was saying. They think they're doing good. We've all seen this in the last few years. There's so many people. They think they're doing good. And finding a way to be able to reach people and bit by bit educate them. And but it's hard to educate them if we're not educated ourselves. And again, I'm a novice, but that's what I'm working at, educating myself. Having the language around certain things, even with the RDCK, with the climate action plan, you know, we have the RDCK representatives, and we were all asking them, where did your directive come from? Where did your directive come from? That came from all around the Kootenays. They canceled meetings on us, and people kept standing up. And though it's still, you know, there's so many more levels because these dictates go way up high, in those climate action plans from people standing up, two things did come out of them that they took out, and that was our wood stoves and the electric vehicle BS. And that's because we stand up and we keep speaking, and we keep speaking, and we keep showing up.
That's why we give them this notice of dishonor, what you said. And this does start to move everything again. And it will move it. That's the best I can offer you, folks. Yes, go. You're going to get a copy. Yes, I am. I can give you a copy of this whole thing. Okay. I've only got one with me, but I will have the whole works online at the awarenessproject.ca. Give me a few days, but it will be up. And I do have a couple of extra copies of these for you too. Everything that she said is in here. And you're giving voice to yourselves and to all of us. Madam?
So in the few projects that I've stood behind in the past, political projects, the petition was based on numbers, like amount of signatures. And if we reached a certain goal, then we would...
No, this is not like that.
So then why, there is no amount of signatures?
We want the signatures because it shows solidarity. Like, there's nothing else. It shows solidarity. And if you want to make copies of it, okay. If you want to sign it, one yourself, make a copy of it, and send it to the Premier's office. Give Trudeau a New Year's card. Carry on. Let them all know. Let them all know. This is about solidarity. This is about saying, okay, I got skin in the game. Okay. This is as best as I know we can do, is because it keeps us peaceful. It's a lawful affirmation. I do not want to see violence. And trust me, I have a lot of days where I'd like to do some things that aren't very nice. And it's the best we can do, and it's the only thing that I can offer you at this time. But more's coming. More's coming. But yeah, the signatures are all good. And I want to count how many landholders at the end of it have signed on, because I want to do a little math. Okay. We get a couple of thousand landowners that say, nope, we're not giving you any money. Well, their $26 million budget, that's soon to go to $36 million budget, is going to be shit. Sorry, that's just what it's going to be. Because we're going to use our own money to do our own thing lawfully. We're not going to beat them in corporate court. Never. But we can sure parallel our own thing. And the deepest roots of this whole mess we're in are in the municipalities at the mayor's office. And that's where we got to cut them off. Once we do that, we've regained control of our own geographical areas where we're in. And we have made our own choice of how we're going to run that geographical area, how we're going to steward the land, how we're going to do things. The rest starts to dissolve. Yes?
Just curious about this, because I know that municipal government's being pressed, and two people have left, two councillors. And so, first of all, in respect to getting the people who are already in office to denounce their union affiliations, did I get that right?
Yep. I wouldn't denounce. Well, okay. Yeah.
Put it in better terms.
Yeah, well, I can't.
Let's say separate themselves or walk away from that affiliation.
Yep.
Voluntarily. And so then where does that leave this councillor, number one? Or how do you see this happening? That's what I have. That's my question.
How do I see it happening? I haven't the vaguest idea. I'm hoping, okay, where you have these counselors that leave and say, no, I'm not doing this, you know.
I think some are leaving.
Yeah, and some that are leaving and we get new ones in, we will have, you know, new oaths, public oaths that will have no function towards these declarations of office, okay? They will be just the opposite. They will be oaths to the people that elected them. And that's as far as I can take it right now, Lucille. I don't know. But that is the intention. Yeah, that's it.
One more thing, or you go ahead first, Lindy.
Well, that's okay, go ahead.
Just maybe something, does anybody in here know what ESGs are?
SDGs are?
ESGs. So, okay, does anybody know what SDG is?
An SDG is a sustainable development goal, and I believe an ESG is an environmental.
Well, my point being, if you want to be able to have conversations with these government officials, it's important to learn some of this language. Because what happens is when you start using their language back to them, they realize you know what you're talking about. And also what it does, they sometimes don't even know what this is. This was my experience with our local RDCK people here. And when I was reflecting these questions back to them, one, it makes them very uncomfortable. Because when you're asking where are these directives coming from, so when we're talking about do our local people, regional, municipal, know what they're engaged in, know that their dictates are coming from way up in the UN, they don't know. They have no idea. This has been my experience, like face-to-face, hour-long conversations with them.
Yep.
So, and what we're dealing with is a bunch of three-letter agencies that were unelected. These are all unelected agencies. All of these agencies are WHO, WEF, and so on. But so SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, UN, that's UN language. ESGs, environment, social, and corporate governance. These ESGs are in our banks, in our schools, in our hospitals, in our municipal government. I'm going to recommend one source just as something to look into, and he's out of the U.S., but you can reference this all to Canada. His podcast or website, whatever, is New Discourses, and his name is James Lindsay. But again, because when we can start using their language back to them, there is, because we ultimately do want to kind of help them expose that they don't realize what they're doing.
Yep.
I do not want to discourage you too much, but my experience was over months. I approached anybody I could get hold of at the RTCK, asking them for the definition of climate.
Yeah.
I did not get one. And you cannot change anything with it. You know, like I was asking them, and they shied away when they even saw me. And I didn't do anything. I just was asking, I said, you know, let's go to base here. You know, what are we talking about? What's the definition of climate? Nothing.
Well, I agree with you, Sylvia. So my experiences have been face-to-face. Right? So when I'm face-to-face at a meeting and I'm talking to somebody and they're there, and the other thing is, just as
You know,
plan is to find common ground. Remind them that there are neighbors and our community members, and that we have a lot of common ground and a lot of common values. They're really just kind of going to work to get their paycheck, and they're ignorant. They are ignorant. Some of them are so incredibly brainwashed. There's a lot of that going on. I recognize that. But every once in a while, and this is why we need to show up in person. We do. I mean, I know, Corrine, they had 60 people show up to the RDCK in person in Nelson. I mean, it does work when we come together in numbers and we show up in person. So
Yep.
I agree, and like Neil, this isn't a magic bullet. This is not an overnight process.
And I would just continually, I appreciate that you're showing up in person doing it too. And my observation is continually that we have a number of elected directors, but we also have a very big number of paid employees, and who put themselves in front of the elected directors. And so we're talking to a paid employee, which is not a bad thing, but it's a different thing. And I had a discussion with one who used to be a bartender, and so I talked to her about her change of her employment, you know, and how come you came into this? Well, it's consistent work, regular work, and it's probably a pretty decent job. Oh yeah, so how did, it has to do with being there because you want to be there, and being there because somebody's paying you to do what they tell you to do. And they're all under a CAO, who is the person who's directing it. So very concerning in my eyes. That's all I want to add to that.
Yeah, and I'll just expand on that. I mean, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody knows for sure, but I think we have the highest paid civil servants in the world in Canada. We definitely have the highest paid police officers in the world. As Corrine said 10 years ago when Stuart Horn, when he got in, the contact information for the regional district boards all fit on one page. It's now on 15 pages. This is part of the overall plan.
Yep.
You get a bunch of civil servants in their comfy little jobs, they're going to protect those jobs. And so I'm not saying that it's going to work, but what I'm saying, if we're going to engage at all, it's important to have a language and an understanding. And what I've experienced with a couple people I talked to when I started talking about the ESGs and so on, and well, no, that we don't have that, and it's like, but you do, because I can point out right here where you're following these policies, and those aren't coming from the people. If you want to talk to the experts, talk to the communities. Those are the experts. People in the community have been here for decades, and people who, you know, so just trying to plant those seeds of awareness. It's huge. We all know that. That's why we're here in this room. It's a massive thing. But thank you for what you're doing.
Okay. You know, I was talking to a friend the other day, and we were talking about words and having to learn so much. I said, you know what? I says, we're like children, okay? We adults all over the world, we're like children. We're having to relearn how to talk again. It's like starting from scratch. So yeah, it's damn difficult trying to navigate your way through it. It's totally navigable, but hey, she's a hit and run every once in a while. But we have to. We're learning how to talk again. And I believe a lot of these bloody weasel words are going to disappear from the vocabulary. They have to. Anyways, with that said, if you want to communicate with me, if you want to, hang on, I'll get to you. You can leave your emails here for me. Please print clearly. And if you want to sign on to this, it's right here, and I'll have a few copies for you to take. And if somebody wants to take some with them and get other people to sign them, I'd be really, really grateful. And other than that, I'll take her question.
Yeah, I was just curious, you were talking about wanting to count how many landowners there are, and talking about the money that would take away
Yes.
from certain people.
Well,
So are you suggesting that landowners not be paying their property taxes, and if so,
I'm suggesting that eventually landowners, okay, and business owners, okay, that the bulk, the vast majority of those tax monies, okay, will be directed to a financial clearinghouse, non-corruptible one. Make that clear. We'll figure that out. Non-corruptible. And the village or the town or the city, okay, has to show up and say, here's our receipts for our expenses this week, okay? And you go through it. Total financial accountability, and you pay them. And it comes straight out of that. And instead of giving, like I say, 90%, and we get what, 8%, somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe? We flip the tables and say, sorry, this is ours. We'll give you, what you're supposed to get, okay? And all those bureaucrats and all those extra jobs are going to start to shrink real fast. So that we're trying to get a method to our madness, but it's evolving. So bear with us. It's evolving. And we're trying to do it, and we are doing it peacefully and orderly.